ShiftWatch. I'm your host, Starbuck. In this episode, back to the basics and what's more basic than comprehending your being. You are much more than the carbon body you feed. You are an electromagnetic being capable of things beyond your physical limitations. Spirit science begins with an understanding of the circuits in our systems and how we can control the flow of energy through each one. Next, seismic shifting in Iceland has reawakened this volcano. Here's some stunning raw drone footage of the current conditions there. The audio the drone picked up was pretty compelling with the wind noise. This is but one spot of multiple instances of growing seismic unrest throughout the planet. Then, STS-75 was a NASA mission complete with UAPs. These look very similar to the craft Dave Wallace has been showing us over his home. This was a retrieval message as a tether with a satellite attached had broken free and was floating in space. Keep in mind that the tether is 12.9 miles long and has a satellite at the end that was supposed to collect data, but it broke and moved away from the shuttle. A crew member was filming this activity through a porthole with a movie camera and captures dozens of curious craft flying around the object. And finally, where is Earth and our entire solar system, for that matter, within the precession of the equinoxes? Once again, spirit science has found a wonderful way of communicating a concept I've come to resonate with and explains Earth's relations to the cosmos.
Man, know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and God. Hi there, welcome back. As we touched upon in Lesson 1, the world right now is in an incredibly disharmonic state. A few people mentioned that we've always been disharmonic, and this is true. In fact, we've been growing more and more disharmonic for about 13,000 years now. It's in our DNA, and it's something that we're passing through as a species. We're at the end of it, though, and we will never be here again. We're just not in tune with ourselves, and mass consciousness is beginning to realize it. The reason for this, however, is not because of bad politics or greed in business. Those are simply long-term manifestations of the real problem, which lies on a much more individual level. The true problem is in our old way of thinking, creating tension on every level. This will become more apparent as the lessons go on. We're going through something of a shift right now into a completely new state of being, with a new way of thinking and a different understanding of the one reality. In today's lesson, I'm going to talk about chakras and how you can become more in tune with yourself and those around you on multiple levels. Now, for us to even start to understand chakras, first we have to understand the basics of light and color. If you take pure light and shine it through a prism, the light will break into a spectrum of 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. We familiarly recognize this as the spectrum of the rainbow, or even more familiar, the basic palette in Photoshop. This spectrum as we know it is the foundation of every visible color. What you might not know about color is that each color has its own vibration. Red has the longest wavelength and the slowest vibration frequency. We recognize this as warm and stimulating. Violet has the shortest wavelength and the fastest frequency, and we recognize it as cool and calming. I don't think I have to describe what happens between these two colors. It's just a frequency change. This basic knowledge, believe it or not, is very important, but we're going to have to look at some other stuff first. Now, in modern science, we've learned that certain colors can stimulate mental activity, and other colors can calm the mind. We know that we need light energy for nourishing our brain, emotion, physical body, and perhaps more importantly, our chakras. So, what is a chakra? The word chakra comes from the Sanskrit word meaning wheel. A chakra is a wheel-like vortex spinning in a circular motion within the body. This forms a vacuum in the center that draws in energy on a vibratory level. It can draw in anything from color vibration to microwaves to energy and emotions of people that we come into contact with. This works in tandem with the thought realm that we discussed last week, as thoughts are on a vibratory level. Right, so chakras are energy points that run vertically from the top of your head down your spine. Depending on how you look at it, there are 7, 8, or 13 primary chakras, as well as over hundreds of smaller, less important ones that are just scattered around the body. I'm going to cover the 8 and 13 later on, so for now let's just stick with the basic 7. Your chakras are kind of like the etheric motor of the soul. Not only do chakras draw in energy, each and every chakra radiates an energy of vibration and govern over a major organ or gland connected to other body parts that resonate of the same frequency. To have balanced and aligned chakras will make you happier, healthier, and more in tune with yourself. When one chakra center is out of sync, it may eventually affect the organs and glands that it's connected to, and cause chakras neighboring them to also go out of sync, causing a chain reaction and many bodily imbalances. A chakra can become out of balance when it is overactive, underactive, or possibly congested or blocked. This is almost always felt on a mental, emotional, or physical level. The benefits to energizing your chakras and learning about them are primarily for a harmony of mind, body, and spirit. Your mind alone cannot nurture your whole being, nor can a proper food diet solve all of your problems. It is through your chakras that you can learn to balance all of you, bringing you into a healthier state of consciousness. As I mentioned before, each chakra is connected to an organ or gland, which governs over a section of the body. The order of the chakras actually go from the bottom up, starting with red, and changing vibrations in each chakra until you get to violet. Before we go any further, think about this. When you break light apart, you get 7 colors. These are the same 7 colors that our physical body is tethered to. What would you see if you were to look at a human through an etheric prism? Are we beings of light? Think about it. Now, not only does each chakra connect to an organ or gland, but each chakra also has a very specific trait. The first chakra is survival and is connected to the adrenal gland. The next one is sex or interaction, which is connected to the gonad. The third is power or ego and is connected to the pancreas. The fourth is love and connects to the thymus. The fifth is expression and connects to the thyroid. The sixth is the third eye, which is psychic and intuitive and connects to the pituitary gland. Finally is the crown chakra, which is the spiritual chakra and connects to the pineal gland. Survival, sex, power, love, expression, intuition, spiritual. These are the 7 traits through which we grow and are at the core of our being. Do you know of a time when you were struggling with your ego, or didn't seem to have a heart, or couldn't express yourself? If you or anyone you know have a problem or come off too strong in any of these traits, the reason why is because of an imbalance within the chakras. Okay, so we know what chakras are now, yet we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of this topic. For the remainder of this lesson, I want to talk about methods of opening, activating, and charging your chakras. I feel like it will be more beneficial to you at this point. As we know, each chakra resonates to a color that we just discussed. Doing things like wearing clothing that matches the color of a chakra will cause it to resonate. I remember when I first learned about this, all of my chakras were closed except for my throat, which was way too open. The reason for this was because my bedroom was painted blue, as well as my bed sheets were blue, and every night I would get a chakra boost in that one area. Sunlight is our main source and provider of light, heat, and energy. Sunlight itself consists of energies in the form of cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, visible light rays, infrared rays, microwaves, and even radio waves. Lying in the sun for half an hour can give you a powerful energy boost. Eating food that matches the chakra colors are good as well. Eating red tomatoes and apples are good for the root chakra. Eating greens are good for the heart. Does this make you want to eat healthier? Color baths are a really relaxing way to open a chakra. You can get this organic fluid that you put in your bath, which changes the color of the bath. You can just lay back and relax and get an energy boost from the water itself. Finally, and this is the best way to open your chakras hands down, go get Reiki. I kid you not, it is the equivalent of spiritual surgery. You lie down and become super relaxed. A Reiki master will then individually go over all of your chakras, opening the ones that are closed and aligning them. See, Reiki masters are people who have had spiritual training on seeing your chakras. Yeah, they can actually see them through the third eye. They learn to move energy throughout their body and connect it and flow it into yours. It's a very amazing process. You may have to ask, but Reiki masters can also typically communicate to your higher self for you and ask you what you need to progress in your path. Reiki itself is growing more and more popular in the last 15 years, so it shouldn't be very hard to find a number of places near you that have it. If you're serious about this and you don't know where to start, Reiki is an excellent first step. Medical science has proven that toxins and impurities, including negative thoughts, chemicals in our food, and other pollutants can influence the body. If these are consistent, chakra imbalances can manifest, which may eventually affect us on a mental and physical levels. Traditional healthcare at this time is unable to naturally or totally alleviate symptoms or cure all of our problems. This means it is up to us to improve our health conditions. We cannot forget about our whole being. In today's society, we put way too much emphasis on independence and not enough on interdependence. Our chakras are interdependent of each other, and we need to take care of all of them to take care of our whole.
Great news, Franklin, and we'll look for that picture.
The image.
Franklin, we see a long line, a couple of star-like things, and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, and it's illuminated by the sun at such low angles. So there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly, but Claude is trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the cameras.
Copy that.
Life on this planet is accelerating faster and faster, obviously culminating in something new and something different, perhaps just out of the reach of our normal imagination. What does this mean for the world? Why is it happening? Better yet, why is it happening now? Why didn't it happen 1,000 years ago? Or why didn't it wait to happen 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 years from now? It's really important to understand the answer to this question, because if you don't know why this is happening now, then you'll probably not understand what's happening to you in your life, or be prepared for the coming changes. Now, the Earth actually has a wobble. Well, it has many wobbles, but the one I'd like to talk about today is the one called the precession of the equinox. Essentially, what this is a rotation that the planet does, which completes a cycle once every 26,000 years. It looks like this and slowly turns on its axis and points to different locations. Science looks at this and says, well, so what? It's just a wobble. But by looking at what the ancient civilizations knew, you see a more complete image. The point actually points to and away from the center of the galaxy. The center of the galaxy is where most of the energy and the most consciousness is. It's not just light up there, you know. So, in this diagram is our rotation. Here's the tip pointing towards the center of the galaxy, and here's the farthest pointing away. The ancient Sanskrit writings that also talks about this precession call this going with the galactic wind. The Sanskrit writings say that there are two very important places on this wobble. One is at A, and one is at C. Not the very tips as you might think. There are also important places at D and B, but not as important as A and C. According to these ancient writings, as we hit position A, we begin waking up. And as we hit position C, we begin to fall asleep. We continue on the cycle, but every time we make a full rotation, we wake up more and more. It works the exact same way as day and night on Earth. You go through this cycle every day, waking and sleeping, but every day you become a little more conscious. You learn new things, you don't do the same things over and over. I want to talk about religion for a bit, because you can definitely see this wobble over recorded human history. See, when we were the ancient Egyptians, Sumerians, and Mayans and such, we were incredibly wise. We may not have known all of the advanced intricacies of the world that we do now, but we knew about the precession of the equinox, and we had an advanced geometric understanding of the universe that we're going to talk about soon. Then we got dumber and became all philosophical, not quite knowing anymore, but still able to understand many things. This is where things like the Fibonacci sequence and pi and the golden ratio were discovered. And then we got dumber still, and it was around this time that we had a real solid formation of most of today's religions. But you have to remember that these religions were based on earlier writings. They were written by people who understood far more than they did. They just couldn't make sense of it, and that's why many Bible stories just seem ridiculous. Ultimately though, every religion did spawn from a more conscious understanding, so you can't discredit religions completely. You just have to trace them back a bit further. You'll also see looking back that we went from a more female-oriented understanding to an incredibly male way of looking at things, very strict and orderly. Not much room for creative thought, it has to be 100% logic-oriented. Back to precession. The Tibetans and Hindus also had these time periods called yugas, which were simply ages. Each yuga had a descending and ascending phase. Many of those who follow New Age beliefs will tell you that we're moving into the age of Aquarius, but not many people know what that means. Well, we're right here on the precession of the equinox, just about at point A. Remember, this is a really important time for us, not just humans, but all of Earth, and perhaps maybe our solar system. This is a chart showing the precession scale with our constellations. The astronomical sign that we see in the sky when we hit point A will be that of Aquarius. Are you ready for this, the big finisher? Can you guess when we're going to hit point A exactly? The Mayans figured it out. It all started December 21st, 2012. We're into the era of transformation now,